Honestly, it's just a recurring problem. It seems like it's the theme.
Is it the
Of
moral of the
alumni just
story?
being MIA.
Basically, yeah. Okay.
All right.
Anyone in the,
I
is
will go
anyone in
ahead and
the
I will shut down my headset.
is anyone in the officers channel like Cole? Maybe Adam. You know, Adam's playing Maple Story. He can join in while he's
Yes, he could.
Maple Storying.
Too. Interesting enough.
I'm trying to shut this down, and
Yeah, I see him on Steam. Maybe I can message him.
What are you So Andrew, are you working on that Audio Zo game? Or
yes, I
have you
actually
changed
am.
the
I'm
name?
porting a minimum subset of Audio Zoe to the Oculus Go.
Sounds fun.
It has been fun. It's been a fun day. Actually, I've been working on it for about 3 hours. No, maybe 2 hours. I spent about 2 hours last night checking setting boxes, and an hour and a half last night realizing that I didn't flip a boolean.
A what?
A bool?
Oh, Boolean. Okay, I was so confused.
Yeah, I didn't
Boolean.
flip a single boolean somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
and I caused myself an hour and a half of pain. It's good feels.
I did that
The
once.
fix was simple.
Yeah, I did that once with an Android exporter. I got really upset with it, and I realized that I had the wrong, like literally in the text box where you type in the version number that you're exporting to, I wrote in the wrong number, and I was so sad. And that was literally the only problem that there was.
like, yeah, exactly. Actually, it wasn't even that. It was I had written myself functions for importing songs from libraries. And the function has two ways it can be called. It can be called with a Boolean flag or with no flag. It'll have a default value of false, and when it's false, it will read only the contents of the folder you directed at.
Mm-hmm.
But if you set it to true, it'll read that folder and all of its contents recursively, and read all of them in.
Okay.
And what I was pointing the project to open the music directory, and the music directory had no contents in the top level.
Yeah.
So I thought it wasn't loading in, but what was actually happening was it was loading in. It was just not loading in recursively because I didn't flip the boolean to true to load.
Okay, I don't think Adam is responding to me. He might be in full screen, so let's just start.
That's totally fine. Welcome everybody to the Game Development Club at San Jose State's podcast for episode number 6. In case you didn't realize, I actually have to look at the thumbnail every time I read that off because it's a mouthful. But in any case, joining us today after, unfortunately not getting on the train with us when we recorded the podcast, which is totally fine.
I know.
It's
I'm supposed to introduce myself. Oh, okay, very good. I'm Andrew Jamian. I think that if you've seen prior podcasts I've been on here, or really any of our promotional material, I somehow end up in most of that too. Former president of the club and developer of Audio Zoe. Let's move to the next person.
Yes, and it's me, Lily. Hi.
and I'm Kevin.
And so Kevin over here.
Kevin is not joining us today. He's busy, and also we're actually recording it a day late because Lily and I were immersed in VR at the usual recording time.
Yep.
Which is pretty funny because that basically means we swapped Kevin for Andrew instead. That's how that worked out. So
Yeah, we did.
That works.
Yeah.
For today, at least.
I think.
Yeah,
it's cool, honestly. All right, so here we go. Going down the list of the docket today, video game monetization plans, or like ways that games are monetized, bad rated games that are actually good. What our thoughts on video game engines, and by that I mean like which engines do we use and why and blah blah blah. Tips on brainstorming. Actually, maybe that one's next. Well, we'll see how long the rest of them take, and then of course.
Yeah, let's just start one by one.
We'll start with those three, And if that
And
works,
then at near the end, I think we should talk a little bit about what we've been up to individually, like our projects and stuff.
okay, if you want
So
to
I think
plug
that,
it.
that could be interesting.
Actually, yeah, since that is going to be, I think that is actually going to be what we're doing for next week's meeting or for the next
And
meeting.
unfortunately, since I failed to
video
join us on
related.
the train, because we went to an arcade instead, my bad.
You know what? Hold on. Wait a minute. Okay, no, here. Okay, we're gonna. Those are the 3 topics. Then we have the game creation thing, which I have to get my phone for. I don't remember. I put it down somewhere. I'll get that real fast. But in the meantime, Andrew, what was your adventure in San Francisco like while we were recording the last podcast that just went up?
Yeah, so I totally forgot that you were recording the podcast on the train. And I actually wanted to be a part of that, but yeah, sometimes you just forget things. So Chaz and I went to a arcade in Japantown. So after walking about 2 miles up hills, it was quite painful in sandals. We got to Japantown and realized that the main game we wanted to try, which was a table flipping game, was out of commission, and most of the other games were too. It was actually quite disappointing, but we did play some games, and Chaz played some Street Fighter, and that was pretty cool.
Did you guys eat some good food?
Yes, we did. We had some delicious food, and then we had to hop an Uber and hope to gosh we got back to the train in time, which we did. We succeeded at getting back to the train, so that worked.
How many
Nice.
people were you guys that went or that stayed?
There were like kind of 5 plus 2, because like 5 of us walked and then 2 of us Ubered over there. It wasn't me. I was part of the group that suffered walking, but we had a good time talking. And then so that was really fun. I think that since you guys already talked about the Unity tour, I'm not going to say too much about that, but I'd say that Mark and everyone were incredibly generous, and I had a really good time.
Yeah.
Got to learn a lot from them. And then the prior 2 days, I was at Oculus Connect, which I don't want to talk too much about, just because I'd like to actually let you get to the docket. But like, I think that there are a couple of highlights that I should probably mention, which are the Oculus Quest, which is awesome. I bought an Oculus Go afterwards because after getting to try one and hearing John Carmack talk about it for a while, I realized that it's actually a really great piece of hardware, and is probably the best in the low-end VR space. It's incredibly comfortable, which is a big problem with a lot of low-end VR. Even high-end VR is sometimes not very comfortable. And it's mostly standalone. You need to use a cell phone with it to set it up, but aside from that, it's pretty easy to work with. And it has a really high-resolution display, which is typically a problem with most mobile VR solutions. I think the Oculus Quest is going to be huge, to be honest. The fact that we'll have 6 degree of freedom tracking, even if it's just in front of you, is going to be really big. And yeah, if anyone ever has the opportunity to go to an Oculus Connect and just go and stand in the Carmack circle, as I'm going to call it, there's a circle of people who usually find John Carmack and stand around him. You'll learn an awful lot if you're a programmer, and probably even if you're not. So yeah, really, really cool event. Oh, and Disney's slash ILM, they have an experience called The Void. So they have I don't want to spoil it. I could talk a lot about it, but I have no idea what I'm allowed and not allowed to say about it. But it's in downtown Disney. It's like $37, I think, and it is, needless to say, really worth your money. I would spend $37 doing that instead of going into the Disney park.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it was really cool. It's basically amusement park class VR.
That's can't even imagine that.
Just imagine you can smell it. You can smell your VR.
Well, okay. I've been on some rides like that in Disney before. It's not really all that groundbreaking.
Yes, but in VR it is.
I don't know, like, because once I went on this ride in Disneyland, and like it's basically just like a recreation of a flight over California, and like you
Mhm.
would fly over an orange orchard, and they just like spray orange out into the
Oh,
camera.
yeah. Soren, California. All right, I'll make one spoiler here, but basically, you go over some lava, and the room heats up, and the room smells like ash,
Ooh, interesting.
and it's really cool. I'm just that's near the beginning of the
I think
experience.
that's interesting in itself because if you think about it, a lot of games like have like lava levels or whatever, and like even though you understand like your character's not supposed to go into lava or else it'll die, it's like you don't really like recognize that. I don't know, just like there's another level of immersion to something very common in video games, which is that lava level.
Yep,
Making me
and they
think
have a like a leap motion for the experience, and I don't think I'm allowed to say that. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. Hopefully, I'm allowed to say that. I don't think I signed an NDA. I don't know if I signed a waiver for my life, but I don't know if I signed an NDA. But basically, I mean, it's obviously an Oculus with a leap motion if you look at it for more than 2 seconds. But it means that you have full hand tracking, so you're not having to deal with controllers at all in the experience.
Mhm.
It's pretty amazing. Like, you can clearly tell they put some time and money into it, and it feels like a quality experience of that level.
Okay. Carlo, do you have anything to say?
That's pretty cool, bro.
All right, wonderful.
I mean,
All right,
I
on to the docket.
well, no, but I was actually gonna say something, but I mean, okay.
Oh, go ahead.
I mean, I like VR, and I like that it's being used a lot more in amusement parks and stuff. And I think that's kind of where it's gonna find, not its niche, but it's where it's going to find a lot more widespread appeal in that kind of setting. And
I definitely agree because, like, the big problem I find with VR is that people try. So I like the Oculus Go quite a bit, but when you come into something like the Oculus Go or like the Gear VR, I think you really have to come in understanding that it's not the real VR experience, so to speak. It's more like a VR consumption experience. It's more like being able to. It's more like an isolation device. So like it's really nice to throw on the Oculus Go and be able to watch YouTube or like maybe code or something using like remote desktop. But like, and there are some really decent games for it, but the best games and the best experiences are still happening on desktop VR. Like, and they're still substantially better on desktop VR. And amusement park class VR is even a step beyond that, I would say. And that's why I think that it's really good to get people to go to those experiences because then they know what the best can be and or the best you can do right now is, and over time will slowly creep towards that best if people start buying hardware and actually supporting the industry.
right, I mean, I did want to just point out that we did do, that the Game Development Club did do VR tabling outside, last week, no, this week actually, and I mean, it went kind of how we expected. Aside from like the sun, that was a huge problem. When we tested it, we didn't end up having direct enough sunlight, I guess. And when we were actually out in front of the event center and all that, then we got direct sunlight. Then the sensors just bleh. So it's pretty. It was pretty. Even though we had a tent, it was pretty funny that like whenever the sun came out, we're just like, well, sorry guys, your VR experience is ruined for now. Give it a sec. And then, but what ended up getting like the most people's attention was when we had the screen, like when the people from Clark Hall brought out like a giant TV screen on the cart and showed the people that hey, like this is what they're doing inside of it, and then people thought that was cool.
Yeah, that gets a lot of people involved in VR.
Yeah.
That's a really good way of getting people in. I think one of the things that were you guys careful not to let the lenses sit face up in the sun?
Yes.
On the
Wait,
okay,
do you mean the lighthouses?
No, on the Oculus or the Vive. You were probably using a Vive, but with the Vive, like.
Yeah.
With the Vive, if any VR headset, because they have lenses, if you leave them in the sun, you can cause screen damage.
Oh yeah, no, we didn't do that.
Okay, good. I'm glad.
No, they'd always be. They wouldn't be face up. That's stupid. They're always face down to protect the lenses.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Right, okay.
It's sometimes easy when you have a lot of people using stuff to let that kind of slide on accident, and then you have dead hardware.
Anyway, onto the docket. Video game monetization models.
Okay, what about them?
What's good? What's bad? What's the preferred way to do it? What do you guys think is the preferred way to do it?
Okay, so I think I hear a lot of people complain about like different kinds of monetization methods. I think um, most recently, most relevant is loot boxes. But honestly, I think they're not inherently bad. And honestly, I do believe some of them work. I mean, it's just one way for the developers to gain revenue from their game, which is not a bad thing. But there are some decisions which I find super questionable, such as making people pay huge money for cosmetics, like in Splatoon.
In what?
Splatoon.
Splatoon.
There are no
Splatoon.
microtransactions in Splatoon.
No, I mean like you can like buy cosmetics, whatever, but they're only like for Japan or something.
Oh, it's in Japan? Oh, I didn't know that.
So speaking of,
It's not in
of
America.
loot boxes, yeah, I mean, if you talk about loot boxes specifically, I think loot boxes kind of span the gambit. But I think one of the big things that's dangerous about loot boxes is obviously, as developers, we have the ability to fine tune the randomization algorithms and make them behave the way we want. So if we want to make something insanely rare, we can do that. Um, I mean, you could even go further if you were being predatory and shape the loot boxes not to give the things you think that a specific player would want most, so that they'll still be enticed to buy them if there was a purchase the item option, or just to entice them to buy more loot boxes in general.
Yeah, there's always the gambling problem.
So, like, I think that loot boxes definitely run into some serious ethical issues that could be like that could happen, like things that could happen that are really ethically questionable. I'm not going to say that I like loot boxes, and I'm not going to say I necessarily agree with monetizing every single game inside the game, because I do still really enjoy a game that I can purchase and just play.
Yeah.
And it's not part of the real world in any way, and has no corruption of its mechanics based, or even its cosmetics based on real money. Though I will say, I mean, I think that Overwatch has managed to stay somewhat ethical with that, because at least their loot boxes.
Right, and there's no like pay to play.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you basically buy the game and then you get to play the game, and that's it.
Now the only thing you like essentially buying per se is just cosmetics, just like to dress up. Like there's not really anything else to do.
My only issue with cosmetics in Overwatch is I think that some of them are starting to finally start making the characters look like different characters, which I think is a problem.
That is a problem, yeah.
Like in any game where you
Can you
have
give an example?
There's a somber skin that makes her look like who? She looks like another character. I can't tell you.
Basically,
I haven't played in a while.
within the fighting community too, there's a problem with certain skins where they actually get banned, and it's not a problem in the Overwatch League specifically, because that's Blizzard's like, you have uniforms, so it's fine. But what happens in competitive play is if a character, Blizzard talks about this too for Heroes of the Storm, where you want to be able to recognize a character visually quickly so that you know how to play against them. It's not like a weird deception where it's like, well, the Tracer is wearing a skin that makes her look like Sombra because it's kind of purple and black. So you think, oh, this can't dive me or whatever, and then she warps next to you and drops a pulse bomb.
Right, and I think that like if you wanted to have disguises in the game, that's not necessarily a bad thing. But when the disguises are basically something you have to pay real money for, now we have a problem, right?
Again, it's not a huge problem, because the Blizzard team is very aware of it, and they aren't doing it on purpose. So it's not like a.
Oh, I know. They managed to for the first 2 years of Overwatch, or first year and a half or so of Overwatch. Maybe a little less than that, but like they were really good about not making any skins that made the characters look substantially different. Of course, then they draw criticism from people who are like, "Oh, the skins look all too similar." Like, it's a lose-lose as a dev.
Like imagine like putting yourself in the shoes of the design team. Like how many like different kinds of individual but also good-looking skins, but also not look like different characters. Like how long are you able to do that?
Well, I agree. It's not easy, but on the other hand, I think it's imperative. Like, because you end up fundamentally undermining your game at some point.
Yeah.
Right.
I think another game that kind of does it well. I want to just touch on it partially because there's a whole other dynamic to the way that Counter-Strike does it, where it still is cosmetic, and it like they don't really add anything other than the gun slightly blends in more to the background that it's dropped on, and you can't find it when you need to pick it up. And that's kind of like where it goes for CS:GO in terms of just the skin design. But then there's another element added onto it, and whether or not Valve is aware of it, and whether or not they're actually playing to the Steam market and the gambling community that still exists in Counter-Strike, is another issue that gets into conspiracy theory and stuff. But it's
Yeah,
a
and I
very
couldn't tell you.
strange
I couldn't
yeah.
tell you either way.
But
I think monetization, like, so I mean that's loot boxes, right? Or and cosmetic items. That's a big one. That's a big monetization strategy. But
I did actually want to quickly ask Lily, where did you find this article? Or like, can you link me an article talking about the Splatoon microtransactions? Because I cannot find it.
Right. Hang on.
Thank you.
all right, while you're looking for that, I kind of want to bring something up.
Yeah.
When I was at when we were at Unity, I was talking to Erica. She's one of the employees at Unity.
Mm-hmm.
And she's on the ads team. So we were talking about ad monetization.
Mm.
And one of the things I found really interesting that we were discussing was she was talking about specifically doing microtransactions, like she was working on the microtransaction platform. I hope that's not NDA'd. I suck if that was.
Mark did tell me that most things we heard weren't NDA.
I mean, I guess working on a platform. She didn't say what in that platform, so I think we're safe. Just general, there is a wow. My computer went to sleep. 1 second.
That's
okay.
the problems. Yeah.
I'm not touching my mouse. I guess it decided that video recording is not an action. That is actually...
It wasn't Splatoon. It was Splatoon 2.
I still can't,
interesting.
but I still can't find it. Can you link me the article?
Yeah.
'Cause I wanna do
But
that.
but yeah, the thing that we were discussing is like, what do advertisements look like in VR? And like, because I personally would like to not see them, but like, we're all very aware that there will be eventually the creep of advertising into VR, and when we get to that point, are we going to like let it be crap or no? Basically, you know, and specifically like, I don't want to just see billboard ads like on everywhere. I really don't want my like VR headset to become the Xbox Live dashboard, which used to be really clean and easy to use, and you could always find your game.
Are you gonna tell me that there are ads in the Xbox dashboard now?
Yeah, it's been like that for like years.
I don't use Xbox, so I wouldn't.
Hang
know.
on.
It's okay. You should look it up.
I didn't even know that was a thing. What?
I can't find it either. That's so strange. I'm positive I saw someone talking about paid content for the Japanese version of Splatoon. I can't find it either.
There's supposedly an upcoming paid DLC, but there is not microtransactions as far as I'm aware.
Interesting. Okay, well, carry on.
But like,
You must be thinking of the mobile game, but anyway.
Maybe.
oh yeah, actually, Nintendo's had some pretty crazily egregious mobile games.
You have to
lately.
I know Dragalia Lost was pretty bad about it because I saw someone playing it, and from what I haven't played any of the Nintendo phone games because I hated what they did to Fire Emblem. I hated what they did to Animal Crossing. Fuck that game, by the way. New Animal Crossing coming out on Switch. Let's go. That has microtransactions. If that has microtransactions.
I like it. There we go. Animal Crossing. Let's go.
That's Pokemon. Let's go Pikachu. And let's go Eevee.
No, Animal Crossing. Let's go animals. All right. Let's go, Mr. Tanuki. No.
Yeah, Tanuki. But anyway,
maybe I'll own that game in like 5 years.
Anyway, Andrew, you were saying.
Oh yeah. So the thing that we were talking about was like, you know, what will VR advertising look like, and hopefully will it like. Ideally, what I think what should end up happening is that, like, as a developer in VR, if you want to put ads in your game, you have to make like actual things in the space that make sense to advertise on. Mm-hmm. So, like, if you wanted to make a Coca-Cola can,
I get what you're saying. Like,
so you have a Coca-Cola can, and then you can skin it with an ad, like they can skin it with an ad. You can say this object is a can of soda. Any can of soda can be this object, and then you can skin it.
I think,
and it'll make for far more targeted advertising that actually feels like it's part of whatever universe you're in.
I know what you're saying. I think that makes a lot of sense, and it's a lot more cooler than the shitty ads we have now. Like, but I think like
it's harder.
Movies, a lot of movies do that too. Where they're like, hey, like if you look at product placement, if you look at the Amazing Spider-Man, not the Marvel one, the Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. The fucking Sony Vivo.
Are you talking about the one by Andrew Garfield?
Yeah, Andrew Garfield.
Yeah.
the number of Sony cameras and Sony Vivos and Sony everything that was in that movie, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, I heard
every
people talking about that.
every James Bond movie, Aston Martin and Bugatti paid a lot of money for for him to be driving one of those cars.
Well,
So
I mean, it's a cool
I think,
car.
well, yes, but that is part of the appeal of knowing your target audience and knowing that if James Bond is riding in a car, he's riding an expensive car, and you want to be associated with being an expensive luxury brand. So
Right, I
you
wouldn't call
make
that
product
actually
placement.
too effective because even though I know he's driving
No,
a cool
it's
car, it's
reinforcing the idea.
no, but it's just
That-
that it's just that I expect James Bond to be riding a cool car, which is it's not gonna make me run out and buy one so I can be like him.
It works. You'd be surprised. It works. It's that kind of
No,
subliminal
no, I
marketing. It is
Yeah, I
that kind of
get it.
subliminal
Well,
marketing.
what
all
it does is they
communication
try and
species.
reinforce that like cool people do this.
They're reinforcing. They're selling you a lifestyle that you want to aspire to and get money to
Right.
spend
Yeah.
on.
That's precisely.
That's what they're going for.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the whole communication philosophy thing, of like subtle.
And yeah.
no,
Sorry.
not you, Alexa.
Wait, you have an Alexa?
She actually apologized. It's so good.
Oh, I remember seeing this one. Just a little break off on tangent here, but like I once saw this clip of this one guy streaming on Twitch. Alexa was playing some like really loud dubstep, and like the guy was like, "Stop! Like stop it, Alexa! Like what the heck are you doing? Like stop it!" And Alexa goes, after like a pause, Alexa goes, "Sorry, I don't know," and then starts blasting the music again. And just... It was freaking hilarious.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
So what other monetization strategies? I mean, I think that really one of the spaces that's going to be interesting though to see how we end up monetizing it is the VR space. As much as I like the Oculus and I like what Oculus is doing, it still terrifies me a little bit that Facebook is in charge of Oculus.
I mean,
Like-
I will say, I think the product placement thing is actually a very good solution. Another one is like billboards, like in VR, or if you watch Rocket League esports, the sponsors would show up like across the stadium, like they would in an actual like soccer game, except it looks dope as fuck because it's Rocket League. But like, the other model is the the paid DLC model, and I remember I forget what Call of Duty it was that I played that like. I think before DLC came into Call of Duty, I took like a hiatus from the series, and then when I came back to it, I think it was Black Ops 2, and I was like, why do I have to pay $15 4 times to get 4 maps in multiplayer? This is stupid.
Right. Yeah. I don't like paying.
Well, 16
maps
maps
so-
in fair if you buy all of them, but yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, but yeah, this is also like another kind of monetization that I dislike when you have to pay more to access like more of like the actual content, not just DLC. Because one time I was playing Ghost Trick on mobile. Like that Ghost Trick was a DS game, and they ported it over to actually like the whole game on mobile, except that I had to keep paying for more chapters of the game, like to just progress in the plot. Like it was not like, oh, here's like a
Did it wait? Hold on. Did it cost the same as if you paid for the whole game on DS, or did it cost more? on mobile?
No, it was actually a couple like $5 for each couple of chapters.
Well, I'm saying like after you paid for all the chapters, was it an equivalent cost to buying the whole game on DS at once, or was it?
I think so. Yeah.
See,
But,
that's the kind of question I ask. Why won't you just like charge for the whole thing at once instead of piecemeal?
Because on mobile, no one's going to pay $15 for anything.
That's true.
Unfortunately, mobile is I hate to say this in like a not ironic way, but mobile is like the cancer of the game industry, because what's effectively happened is they've over-popularized the free-to-play model in mobile space, and no one makes quality content for mobile, to be quite honest with you.
And if there is quality content, it gets buried under all of the shit.
Yeah, pretty much, and they can't make sales because they're trying to charge an overpriced $15 for a game that's actually of high quality. Like, I just want Game Boy Advance quality experiences on my mobile device, like designed for today.
Right.
That I'd pay $15 or $30 for that if it was really good, like I would back when I had a Game Boy Advance.
But the thing is, I think for what they did for Ghost Trick, it was like I think the first part of the game was actually not that pricey, and I was excited that they had Ghost Trick on the mobile device because I knew it was a game made by the same people who made Ace Attorney, and I guess depending on the kind of game it works, if you want the people to try the introduction first, and then so if they want to keep playing, they can pay for more. But if they didn't like it, they can just drop it and like not waste any of their time.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. It's an interesting model. I think that it's an okay model if you at least don't try and milk your audience for too much money. Like
Right.
if you know like the game you want to make $10, like I think you should not charge more than what the game is worth for one. Like if the game is like $30 on DS or something like that, it shouldn't be more than $30 after you buy all the DLC.
This is less related, but still kind of related. This is a major problem that I think everyone has, not just me, but like this is a major problem that I have with The Sims.
Oh no! I think when we talked about The Sims last week, that's what made me put this on the docket or 2 weeks ago. That's what made me put it on the docket this week. When you showed me, it was like what 400 something for like everything. I was like, what? That's stupid.
Yeah. If you
it's
actually
disgusting.
tally up all the costs together for all the Sims DLC for the base game and all the DLC together, it's like hundreds of dollars already.
What about Train Simulator on Steam and like Plane Simulator? They charge you like the actual cost of a train to get the DLC. It's like you have to. I don't know. It's like $60. Like the game is $60, and then you pay like another $60 to get access to. Ooh, this is the I don't know trains. Let me go back to planes. This is the B-17 authentic 1945 plane. $60 DLC to fly this one plane. What the
Like
heck?
I mean, like they look pretty funny from what I've seen, like of YouTubers playing them. I just don't understand. Well, maybe I do understand a little bit because my brother had this game called Flight Simulator. It was old as hell game. Like
There's a new one, I think.
yeah, there's a new one, but like he was playing the old ass one, like the one that they released quite a long time ago. And I don't know, we just got a huge kick out of him playing it for some reason. Because it was funny just to watch him try to.
Was that the Microsoft Flight Simulator?
Yeah, I think Microsoft owns the Flight Simulator license actually.
Yeah, that one was actually pretty good.
Yeah, but the thing is like after a while of watching him play it, I'm just like, what is the goal to this game? Like, what are we even doing?
Oh, the goal of Flight Simulator. Do you actually want to know?
Sure.
Do you want to find out years later? the goal of Flight Simulator is literally to fly from one city to the other. But the fun of it.
The thing
now
is
integrated with Google Maps.
But the thing is, the title of the game is what it is, so it's like I can't even be mad about it.
Yeah. The fun part about it is literally reading the manual to the actual plane and then having a HOTAS in front of you and trying to pilot this thing. It's
right.
It's hilarious watching. There is one YouTube series where they played it like Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, where the person is in the plane and the other
God.
and the person on their Discord call or TeamSpeak call, I guess, because it's a few years old, was like had the manual in front of them and had to tell them how to pilot the plane.
It's like one of those movies where like the plane's gonna crash and they're like, pilot, and they're like, no, and so like random person goes up into the cockpit and is like getting told how to pilot the plane
by the tower or whatever.
Yeah, by the tower. Yeah.
Dude, that'd be a good streaming thing. That'd be awesome, honestly.
No, but the thing is like
keep talking and nobody crashes.
Yeah, but the thing is, a game like that, like it's very much just a flight simulator, and like it'll be like interest to people who are like really into planes, but like I don't know, like if
it's really goofy, people will watch it and people will play it.
Right.
But is that what Flight Simulator is for? I feel like I don't know if it's for the goofiness though. Is it?
Yeah.
No, you wouldn't do it in Flight Sim. It'd have to be its own experience. People play Flight Simulator for one of two reasons. They want to simulate a flight, or they think that they want to simulate a flight. Usually the experience is someone gets behind it and they're like, I don't know what I'm doing, or crash into something. Like so there's like two the two calibers of people who can fly planes and people who can't.
I mean, getting back on track a little bit. What happened to games just shipping when you paid $60 for them? They were just complete.
Apparently $60 isn't enough to cover the costs of making games anymore.
I mean,
which actually is true in some cases.
It is true in a lot of cases, I agree. But can we name any games I've done? Okay, excluding Nintendo games, because for some reason
excluding you have to exclude indie. Because
you're right.
Do that
excluding
sometimes.
all indie games and Nintendo, because Breath of the Wild was $60. It had everything in it. They added
DLC.
They had 2 DLCs, but all of the story content was in it. And
I actually disagree that Breath of the Wild is a complete experience without the DLC.
Is it because of the Master Quest?
It's because of the Master Sword. because
Because of this Master Sword trial, right?
because it breaks, and because you can actually make it not break. Apparently, during the
Oh no,
I have
no,
not
no.
had a chance to
It's
play the DLC.
when you play the DLC, you make it full power at all times.
Exactly.
So
There you
it
go.
does, yeah, it does change the game. Okay, Mario Odyssey then.
Um,
There is no paid
I've
DLC.
not completed it yet,
There is no paid
but
DLC for it though.
okay, awesome. Then I actually sat down and started playing Mario Odyssey on the plane
Mario
ride back from when I was up there with you guys,
Mario yeah,
and
Mario Kart 8
and
Deluxe does not have DLC. The original on the Wii U did.
oh my
Then
gosh, don't give them ideas.
I know. But okay, hold
Wait,
on. I will say for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, for the price, I think it was $15. You got 8 tracks and like 2 characters. I don't
But is that in some way pay to win?
What do you mean?
Like, are those characters advantageous in any way?
I mean, the characters do have different stats, but it's not like they're overpowered. I think if I remember correctly, Metal Peach basically had the same stats as Dry Bowser.
Okay.
Like they were like Echo Fighters, except not. Okay, wrong game, but
All right. It looks like Lily has an idea, and then I actually want to contribute something kind of to this.
yeah. But okay,
Oh,
back to the original question though. Yeah.
It is back to the original question. That's what I want to add on.
Oh, I just wanted to tell you guys that I was looking at the trailer for Maple Story 2.
Is it DLC in the trailer?
No, it's just that it's actually on like Steam,
Okay.
and like it's so different than from what I'm used to. Because like, yeah, everyone knows Maple Story is the 2D whatever, but like the Maple Story 2 is like 3D.
I didn't play the first one.
What?
Yeah.
No. I'm saying what to Lily. I don't mind if you didn't
Oh.
play the first one, but I'm like, what? What do you mean it's 3D?
Okay. While
It's
you're looking
3D.
that up, I will finish the ads thought, or not the ads, but the
Like
monetization thought.
3-dimensional.
So
AAA
Maple
game that
Story-
hasn't been AAA game that hasn't have. What?
I'm
the
not
heck
actually.
am
I'm
I
not going to go
looking
there.
at?
I'm going to go back to the original thought, which is,
Mhm.
you were talking about specifically paid DLC. First, I want to plug DLC Quest because it's funny to remember that DLC was the thing everyone hated before everyone hated microtransactions and then hated, like loot boxes. But there's that. But the thing is, like if you look at a game like Halo, something that really was frustrating about the old Halo games, and Call of Duty did this too, and I actually love the Halo games, but one of the things that's really frustrating is to release 5 or 6 new maps or 4 or 5 new maps, they would, like you said, charge for them. But the result would be community fragmentation because people wouldn't buy the DLC and then couldn't play with other people. And that is the fastest way to cause your game to implode on itself, is to make players not have anyone to be able to play with because only a small fraction of people actually bought the DLC. So either you can't play the DLC maps or you just can't play the game. And that sucks for everyone involved. It just leaves people feeling left out. Like, DLC has some other big problems, but I do think that there are valid uses of DLC. If DLC is treated like expansion packs were treated in the old days when they were generally pretty high quality. Now, mind you, I bet there were people in the old days who had the exact same complaints about expansion packs that people have about DLC.
I was just
Mhm.
about to say, like, I mean, like DLC is just today's expansion packs, I think.
But I want to say it is, but it kind of isn't. Because, like, selling you 4 maps in multiplayer is not something that you saw happen very much in the old days of
Right, expansion packs are better.
expansion packs had the idea that they were an expansion of the actual content, and it felt like you were substantially growing the game. If you bought a Diablo expansion pack, it felt like a bigger game.
It seems like over time they've basically just been like $30 for an expansion pack. Okay, how about this now? We're just gonna charge you $15 for a quarter of the content. Okay, wait a minute. Now we're gonna charge you $2 for like a small piece.
Yeah,
now they're just charging us for smaller and smaller.
Now they
pieces.
nickel and dime us.
Exactly.
Is effectively what happened. See, what I liked about expansion packs, and as much as I did not like expansion packs in their own right for certain expansion packs. Like, the thing is, expansion packs kept the separation of game and like real
Additional
world.
content.
Well, and the real world. Like, the real world did not freaking mess with the game at all. Like, if you had Diablo 2 and you didn't have any of the expansion packs, you know what you didn't have to deal with? Getting advertisements telling you, hey, guess what? You can buy more bullshit. Like,
Okay, so with that kind of mentality in mind, have you ever played Skyrim?
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Do you think Skyrim's DLC are actually expansion packs then?
Half of them are and half of them aren't.
Which half is which half?
Well, the vampire one was definitely an expansion.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So the vampire one is an expansion. The house one is not.
Honestly, I don't think I can recognize DLC from main game from mods. If I decide from the vampire.
I have to say that the mod community is the only reason that Skyrim like is as good as it is. Like, I've played it some without mods, but I lose interest fairly fast in Skyrim without mods.
Was it Lily or Kevin that was saying that Skyrim is just a garbage game that got patched by mods and then it
I believe that was Kevin.
Yeah.
You know, it's easy to say that, but Skyrim is actually a pretty awesome game that has. It's basically it's designed in a way that makes it fundamentally a vanilla sandbox for modders.
Right. This
Like
is
Minecraft.
the point that I made
Mhm.
a while ago on this podcast. I was saying that like Skyrim is fun, but it's unpolished. Like at the every end of all things, like it's a very unpolished game. But that was like, but because of that, like it was, but there was like a threshold that it reached where like it was an unpolished game, but it was fun enough to inspire people to improve it rather than just leave it behind.
It's like they gave you enough to be able to envision what it should have been, but not to actually give it to you.
It's like a flawed masterpiece.
But in a way, it's perfect because if you think about it, like, how many different ways can you modify the shooting mechanics in that game and make it different and yet fun? Like, I could probably find like 20 different ways to enjoy archery with different mods, and I could probably just do that. Like, and there's no one way that's the right way, and that actually is good. Because that means that if you really wanted to experience Skyrim for the rest of eternity, you probably could.
Yeah, it just keep switching out different mods. You can experience Skyrim like 700 different ways, because there's even mods that like replace the skeletons of like NPCs and entities or whatever. So I've seen like guys like that have modded their game to the point where like they're like playing The Witcher 3. Their character can do like double backflips. It's insane.
So that actually kind of brings me to leads to something with Skyrim or like just games in general that have mods. I think I have to wonder if a lot of games don't have mods now for a couple of reasons, but like I always have to wonder if it's actually a greed reason.
Oh, because
it takes time to develop it and they don't make as much money off of it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, to me, is really disappointing, because I think that, I mean, I look at the like obviously, you know, I love the original Doom, but the original Doom is a really good example also, like Skyrim is, of a game that had incredible amounts of modding support, or at least was simple-ish enough that people could figure it out, was well engineered enough that people could figure out how to mod it, and over time made their own tools for it.
I don't think it was very much of a greed reason, because when people made these mods, like they were actually like developing like their own skills, and some people have found like jobs within the industry because of their mods.
No, he's not saying that making mods is greedy. He's saying that games not supporting mods is greedy.
Yeah,
okay.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I agree that I agree that no, I think modding is actually one of the single best things that the industry has going for it, or at least historically has. I mean, okay, nowadays you could go and download Unity and I could spend my time building a game instead of building a mod for a game. But there's still something to be said for having the ease of use of just setting up and building mods for a game, or learning within the confines of an existing game. I very much enjoy sometimes just sitting down and modding a game as opposed to playing or building my own. It's a different experience.
Yeah, it's like writing fan fiction or to practice real writing. Something like that.
Yeah, fair enough. So, what is the second docket point? I think that we have kind of wrapped.
We kind of milked that one to death. Okay, Jesus.
Wait, well, no, I just feel like that. I feel like we
No,
tackled that.
I think there was a lot to that one, so that was good. Bad rated games but they're actually good.
Okay.
Define bad rated.
You
Like
how about this?
32 out of 100 on Metacritic.
Yeah, like the Metacritic score does not properly reflect how good the game actually is.
Okay, like a 7 out of so it's not like, oh, it got a 7 out of 10, it probably should got a 9 out of 10. It's more like
That's
it's more
fine.
4.
Yeah, it just got canned, like panned.
Okay, that's fair.
I think this came up from games that we thought were like for specific niche audiences, and that the people that were reviewing it just didn't get. I think that was where we came from.
I think it's gonna be a little bit hard for me to answer this question because I have played my share of bad games, but I played it because what's the right way to say this? Like it's not like I enjoyed how bad they were. It's that I liked the game enough to see. No, okay, that's not right either. Because like I recognize it was bad. It was a bad game, but I enjoyed playing it anyways. So I can't say that like it was good, but the critics hated it. But because I understand why it was considered quote unquote bad. I'll give you an example. There's this one DS game, it's pretty obscure. It's called Lost in Blue 3. So it's from the Lost in Blue series. It's basically the premise of the whole series is that you can play one of two characters that are victims of a shipwreck and washed up ashore on an island. Basically, have to survive on the island using just like basic crafting and hunting techniques. And so the one I played, Lost in Blue 3, is there's a lot of bad stuff in that game itself, but I still enjoyed playing it because I like the survival genre. I guess that's the way to put it.
That's fair.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, I didn't enjoy it.
No.
But it's not like I went specifically to badly rated games and said, oh, this is actually good. I don't think I've ever experienced that.
I have, but unfortunately, that's not one of those things that I just outright remember. I just look at the game as a good game in my mind, so I can't really think of one off the top of my head. Though I could mention a game like I'm looking right now at it. If you've ever seen the game Audio Shield.
Yes.
Okay, so Audio Shield is interesting because it was very positive on release. If you look at the Steam ratings, and then people have gotten upset about it, and it's mostly negative right now.
Why?
And that's primarily because it used to have YouTube integration and no longer does. My guess is that Dylan Fitter got a cease and desist.
I would imagine. Wait, what do you mean?
And he probably, in that cease and desist, was told he couldn't talk about it. Yeah, you could stream YouTube from the game. And it would actually show you the YouTube video. So it actually wasn't in violation of YouTube's terms of service. But, you know, YouTube probably got, or Google probably got a little bit handsy with it and couldn't, and he probably has gagged. He probably can't say anything about it, would be my guess. Like, because sometimes when you're told not to do, or like told to stop doing something, they'll also like basically say you can't talk about the fact that you were told to stop doing that. So like, which I think is awful. But it's really disappointing because I think that there's a lot more to a game like that. Just being able to import your own music is nice. Like, if YouTube doesn't work, YouTube doesn't work. Like, I guess people view this as a fundamental removal of a removal of a fundamental feature, and they feel that they've been slighted because this isn't what they purchased. But I feel like that's a little unfair. I mean, I don't think that warrants a mostly negative. You know, maybe I'm wrong. The game itself is actually very fun and is playable.
I'm looking at Metacritic right now because I was kind of curious about what some of the games on the lore. Okay, I have to guess I have to reverse this.
You know, I'm gonna go to Metacritic too. That sounds exceptionally fun.
About what some of like the lowest rated scores are. Can I not sort this backwards? Can I not sort this by lowest first? Like, it's actually pretty funny because it's actually usually the user score that's way lower than the critic score for some games such as Assassin's Creed Odyssey, recent release. Like I think it's like an 86 or something. It has like a 5 on, or like a 50, I guess, because it's like the user score is at a 10, so it's like a 50 for the user score. And I'm assuming that's probably because of DLC or something. I don't know.
I will say, like, not panned, but there are some games, like classic games, that, especially given their impact on the game industry, probably should be 9 or like 9 out of 10 or better, and then end up in like the 80s, like, which seems a little low. It's like people going back and playing it and not appreciating it for what it is, and then like, I'm gonna give it a 8 out of 10 because I don't like graphics from the 80s.
Yeah, I
Or the
mean, there
90s.
is kind of a problem with that too, where it's like Atari Combat or Pac-Man. Pac-Man, graphics, gameplay was like solid. Graphics though, lines, come on.
Yeah, and people do that. People will actually judge games based on their graphics, but not consider that it's the old game. Like, and I think that that's a little unfair.
I think I think definitely part of it is what people are looking for in the game, and for a lot of people, it isn't the actual act of playing the game. It's kind of like, okay, lose asleep, I guess, but it's kind
You
of
know what?
like
No, I'm not.
Oh.
I'm looking at my phone. Don't.
Oh, I can't tell. It's kind of like
Lily down.
It's kind of like how people passively watch movies. Like, not everyone kind of looks at it and goes to nitpick and critique and, oh, the camera angle here, oh, it's sharp.
That's me and my mom. Like, I'll be the one like critiquing, picking apart the themes, whatever. She's like, it was nice.
Yeah, it because games are such an open medium, it depends on what people are looking at and judging about the game. Man, okay, maybe looking at the bottom end of the Metacritic PC games was not a good idea.
Oh wait, well, we're gonna try this. I hit page 158.
Hold on. Why is Spider-Man 2 a 42? That is no. Unless the PC port was awful, in which
Oh
case
my
I'm
goodness.
sorry for PC. What happened here?
What happened here?
Was the port awful?
Probably.
Let me find out. Because Spider-Man 2 on PlayStation 2 is basically the 2000s version of Spider-Man on the PC.
Okay, here's a game that we should talk about.
Okay.
Yu Yu Hakusho Spirit Detective. I've not played it, but let's talk about this for a second.
What?
Wait, for the Game
Never
Boy
heard of
Advance.
that.
No, bear with me.
I know, pitch it. Let's go.
I'm gonna pitch it. Why I think that this is an important one to look at. Okay?
Mhm.
Metascore 33. User score 8.2.
Wait, 8.2 out of 100?
No, out of 10. The user score is out of 10.
I don't know why. I don't know why they use. Okay,
Yeah,
really,
it's weird.
if we normalize it, it's a 3.3 to an 8.2.
Because no, I just found that really funny because he said 33 users, 8.2, and I was like, hang on.
No, I know. Thank you, Metacritic, for your non-standardized dumb bullshit. Excuse me. Sorry.
Okay, wait. When you're done with that, I looked up footage of the PC version. Oh, man. Oh, boy.
Oh boy. Look, this is what my brother got me.
Oh, Cooking Mama, nice.
Yes.
For those of you who are
It's a
listening
regular
for
DS
those of
game.
you who are listening to the podcast, it's Cooking Mama on the DS.
The regular DS, mind you. The 3DS is already obsolete.
Okay, well, Andrew, are you ready to go, or can I go on my thing first?
Huh?
Are you ready to talk about Yu Yu?
Oh, I've never played it, so I just thought we should talk about it. I don't know. I
What
just thought
do
it
you
was
mean? What are you talking
Andrew, I
about?
just love how you're like, huh?
Like, I can talk about.
Talk about whatever you were going to talk about, and then we'll go back to it.
Okay, I can talk about this Spider-Man 2 on PC gameplay real fast. Like, I can't. Looking at it, I'm not even sure. Okay, because what happened with the PlayStation 2 one was it was open world, exactly like the PlayStation 4 game. You had unlockable and customizable movesets. Combat was basically the same as Arkham Asylum, except it came before Arkham Asylum, so it kind of did it for. I'm not gonna say first, but it did it before Arkham Asylum. It was there were side missions. Stuff happened in the city. It wasn't like the. It wasn't. I think it was. Oh, what game was it? I think it was. I know it was. It was Arkham Knight. That like, or that the city was just dead because like no. It was Arkham Origins, where like the city was just gone for some reason. Like they made a story reason why the city was empty, and then no one was in there, and it felt dead. No, Spider-Man 2 had like civilians, and it was awesome, and I think the new one has it anyway. But it looks like the PC port is just a linear game with similar combat and really awful looking FMV cutscenes that are like half of the resolution of the actual game, and that's pretty hilarious. Like, look at this. Like, it doesn't fit in my phone. Like, it's. I mean, it fits in my phone. Like, it's like, it's like, it's that small box in the game anyway. So that was just a bad port. Okay. So Andrew, Yu Yu Hakusho, Spirit Detective.
Andrew. Andrew, hello.
What is that? Sorry.
We're ready for you to talk now. Yeah. Whatever you wanted to talk about.
Okay, so I looked up this Yu Yu Hakusho game on YouTube. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm watching right now. And graphically, it's definitely questionable, even for a Game Boy Advance game. But in all honesty, like, it looks, I guess let's say it looks bad, but it doesn't look 33 bad. Though I'd have to actually try playing it to understand if it was just terrible controls or something. It might just be a not so great licensed game, is my guess.
I'm curious, did any of us... I guess it was either Matt or Kevin that wanted this on the docket. But did anyone have a game that they know is just not seen as good by most people, but you actually really like?
Okay,
how about Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, so instead of a PC game, I'm actually going to talk about a DS game. It came out quite a long time ago, maybe more than 10 years, but I still want to talk about it. So, are you guys familiar with Looney Tunes?
Yes.
Are you familiar with that one Looney Tunes episode called Duck Amuck?
Yeah.
Where basically Daffy Duck is trying to run a normal cartoon, but the animators keep messing with him.
Huh.
I think I did see that, yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is, they made a DS game based off of that episode, where you as a game player keep messing with Daffy. And the thing is, my brother and I, we saw this the first time we read it off the back of the box. We're like, oh, this sounds incredible! Like, being the kids that we already bought it, played it at home, and it was like, oh, this game's shit. And then we kept playing it. So that's what I remember. And like the thing is, because the graphics are bad, the mechanics were simplistic, and we actually did not get to have as much fun as we thought we would. But I don't know, it grew on us. No way.
Andrew, do you have one, or am I gonna?
Could we slightly change this towards sleeper games, maybe?
That's kind of what I was going for, yeah. But I mean, I do have an example.
Sleeper hits?
I don't know yet because I have to look at the user score.
We're talking about sleeper hits.
Kinda, yeah.
Well, for me, at least mine was Assassin's Creed 3, because I really liked that
talk
game.
To us about that one. You like that game?
I really liked Assassin's Creed 3.
Okay, yeah, so did I.
It has a user score of 6.3. Now, bear in mind, I did not play the DLC, so I'm judging it from...
I have not either. I've only played the main game as well.
Yes.
So tell us.
I really liked it. I have played all of the original. Oh geez, it's not trilogy. I've played 1, 2, Brotherhood. What is the one with like Ezio meets Altair?
Revelations,
and then I played 3.
Ezio is Ubisoft's Jesus. Like, stop making games about him.
I mean, he's pretty cool though.
He's pretty cool, but still.
I really enjoyed Assassin's Creed 3. I understand that most of the criticisms revolve around the weird hunting thing, the bad architecture that they had revolving around the parkour system, and the very slow opening. But other than that, actually, I thought it was really solid. Like
Right,
the ship
yeah.
mechanics that they had were good. It led the. I mean, that it wasn't as fleshed out obviously as in Assassin's Creed 4, which is amazing, but
Right.
and that was like for me that Assassin's Creed 4 I think was the high of the series, but that's also why I stopped playing. But I just
Yeah,
thought it
I
was
kind of lost
well-rounded.
interest after 4 as well.
I just thought that 3 did everything that an Assassin's Creed game is supposed to do. It
Right. There was something about Assassin's Creed 3. Like I had been a fan of the games before, but had never had a game for myself. If that makes any sense. Like because I just didn't buy it. Or did not exactly have any gaming computers at home. Like at the time, I was a fan of Assassin's Creed. I had not yet had a computer of my own, so I did not really have the opportunity to play these games. But when Assassin's Creed 3 came out, I was so very excited that I saved up my own money. I went out and got like babysitting jobs. Like this is when I was like in middle school, and so I could buy the game for myself and try it out. And I actually got what I expected from the game. Like it was. I feel like it was just like exactly as advertised. Like the hunting and the parkour, whatever, and the mechanic. Like I really enjoyed it, but it surprised me when I heard about how much people actually disliked it. And I was thinking, like, I don't understand what people found so bad about it. Um,
I think that part of it did stem from how amazing the Ezio trilogy was, because
right? Yeah,
Revelations.
they spent so much time on Ezio. When Ubisoft decided to write a new story, new mechanics, and people were like, "Oh, give us Ezio back." Oh, it's just like
No, I
you
mean
spent.
that's not what I mean. Like it could be part of it, but what I mean is that actually there were some things that were changed about the like the assassin's hood system, or like you're like getting fellow assassins into your like kind of thing that like you're kind of not cult, but you're well, it is kind of a cult, but like your assassins organization and how you
Yeah.
manage them. Like you still do that, like you still send them out to do things and stuff, but I don't think it's as involved in 3. There were minor changes that they made between Revelations and 3 that people didn't like, but
Right, because I don't really blame them because like it was such a change from what they saw for a long time, um, and people don't like change when you have been sticking in the same system for so long. Um, shoot, I just died. What was I talking about? Oh
That
yes,
actually reminds me of something.
okay, Andrew, what does it remind you of?
Okay, so you were talking about like change and how that like people really do not enjoy that with certain games. I think that a game that really exemplifies that is Halo, the Halo franchise,
Yeah.
and
Okay, here we
how
go.
people really, really don't like Halo 5 because they dropped Master Chief as the lead protagonist. Though I'm gonna actually go out on a limb and say that I think that people are right on that one. I think that the core mainline Halo series is about Master Chief,
Where
and they would literally have to end that core story if they wanted to make a game in the Halo universe without like or make a separate game. Like ODST was great, and no one was complaining about that, or Reach was obviously not part of the mainline Halo franchise. So people weren't complaining that they had Noble was it like Double
Andrew,
Six?
I do want to ask you, what do you think of the 343 Halo games so far compared to the Bungie
I
ones?
can't be particularly nice about them.
Because my friend who's super into Halo would agree with you that after 343 took over the Halo series, something happened. Like I would be
I could tell you,
interested.
I could actually give you a really like detailed analysis.
Can
I don't
you
know if you
give me
want
this? Can
15
you
minutes of
give
me
me
talking about
yeah?
Halo.
Can you give me a semi-detailed analysis and have it take like 2 minutes so we can go to the last segment?
Stylistically, they are visually not part of the same universe anymore. Mechanically, they didn't understand what Halo was, and then they basically merged it with COD.
What mechanically made Halo? Was it because for me at least it was kind of the floatiness of the shooting. It
Yeah,
felt
in the game was more methodical and slow. It was almost like FPS chess, as opposed to
running and
Call of
shit
Duty,
everything.
where it's
Yeah.
sprint into combat and get killed. Also, when sprinting is an expected mechanic, half of your time is spent doing something that you can't actually defend yourself doing. Like, you can't defend yourself while sprinting. In Halo, it was like you had shields, so you could take a shot without dying, or 2 shots without dying, and then would have to think about what to do. Usually aim for cover, and then actually, fight back. Mechanically, I don't think the later Halos achieved that as well. It just ends up becoming sprint to cover, which I think 5. I was actually having a conversation about this with someone else the other day. 5 kind of did, like they tried to make it so that your shields couldn't recharge when you're sprinting. I feel like then at that point now we're just like throwing away what makes Halo Halo, and we're just making a different game. Like the shields were your defensive mechanism in Halo.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, or just shooting your opponent. And to me, like throwing that away, like kind of sucks. Like Halo Reach was probably the best middle ground that like I saw between that, where they did have the armor abilities, but the game still felt a lot like a Halo game. It also was a little more forgivable because it wasn't Master Chief and it took place in a different point. So it made sense that it could be a little different. Visually, Halo 4 especially makes my eyes cry because the enemies, my eyes, they cry. So
It's not the Covenant anymore. It's like the
right. It's all the Forerunner enemies, and it's not that like it's not about it being the Covenant, because there was the Flood too, and even the Flood, while they looked very similar and samey throughout, like you could find the head on a Flood, or at least if you couldn't, it kind of made sense because they were like an amorphous blob. But with the Forerunner enemies, they're basically these silver enemies with like silver surroundings, and they've got like some orange accents, and you can't find their head. So like, if you're playing in the hardest difficulty, you can't headshot the enemies to stop them from killing you, and that kind of blows because that's just poor design, and it doesn't feel or look like Halo at all. Not to mention, I think that narratively they kind of botched it too, like revealing the Forerunners, like actually showing the Forerunners, I think threw away one of the biggest things that made Halo amazing, which was that it had a lot of narrative mystery, and there were things they didn't give away. And I think that keeps people coming back for an interesting experience. You don't have to reveal all the stuff of the past to make the future interesting. In fact, sometimes the stuff of the past is what continues to make the future interesting without giving it away. Beyond that, Warthogs having ammo is stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Blue.
That's like 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
I'll stop now.
Perfect. Okay, so we went on a pretty good there. I think we're gonna go ahead and go over to the video game generator, or what did I call it before? I think it was the game roulette, something like that. Let's design a game. Refreshing. Woo. Okay.
We were talking about what?
We're gonna make a game. A role-playing game where you run away from trolls on an island.
Trolls.
I'm gonna type that in the Discord.
Oh wait, what's the goal of this again? I forgot from last time.
We're designing a game based on this prompt.
Okay, so you're running away from trolls on an island?
A role-playing game where you run away from trolls on
Breath of the Wild.
Island.
That's not exactly an island.
No. That one island in Breath of the Wild where they take all your equipment away.
Oh,
and there's that big Hinox.
The one in the bottom right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, legitimately, I just threw bombs at him.
That's what I did too.
Yeah, I went on the cliff and it was just like.
And I rolled boulders at him.
Oh, that's a good.
I was like, have some boulders, have some bombs. Yeah.
Like after I got tired of like waiting to kill him with the bombs, though, I just like glided from the top, took his weapons, and then ran away.
You know what really helps with fighting him is if you have the lightning ability from the 4th dungeon.
Oh yeah, well, quote unquote 4th. It depends. I did that one 3rd.
Yeah, but I did too. But it's the effective 4th dungeon. It's the hardest one of the 4. The boss is the hardest there. The lightning boss is
I
like
didn't
pretty
think
difficult.
Thunderblight Ganon was that bad. I actually had trouble with Rivali's. Mostly because I was really good at parrying and dodging at that point. I don't know.
Fair enough.
Don't ask me why, but I sucked at hitting anything on the wind one. I'm like, why can't I hit him? It was anyway.
Yeah, I okay. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about Breath of the
Yeah,
Wild.
I can literally, we can do it. We can do it
literally
after
have a
the
whole
stream.
podcast where, like, I literally wrote an entire write-up of things that I both like and dislike about Breath of the Wild. I think I kind of didn't write all the things I like, but I did definitely write all the things that I'm a little critical of, because I think that everyone takes the time to love that game, and I love that game, but I think that it's like important as a developer to be able to see what is not the best about it.
Yeah.
And going back to that thing I was talking about, like things being really samey, the dungeons in that game are just so samey.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm in a different zone the moment I step into a dungeon. I feel like I'm in just an extension of the original dungeon. Like, all the dungeons are the same.
Mm-hmm.
I should say divine beasts.
Yeah, Divine Beasts. But anyway, so you're on the island. Let's say, what is the name of the? I have my Switch next to me.
So okay, so the mechanics of this game, you're on an island. It's a role-playing game. Is it a role-playing game with an inventory? Sure, why not? You have an inventory.
How about you have, like, we make it a realistic inventory?
So you have a satchel.
Yeah, you have a satchel, and if it doesn't fit in the satchel, it's on your back, and that's it.
Yeah, you literally have to open the satchel and put things into it.
Like, you can't put a bicycle in there.
Yeah, you can't just store a bicycle.
This isn't Pokemon.
Yes.
So yeah, so you have to run away from trolls. You don't fight them.
See, okay,
Okay, this could.
This is a survival horror game.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
Okay.
It's a survival horror game, and you definitely avoid bridges.
This is reminding me.
And you're a goat.
And you're a goat.
And you play as a goat. And you have to rescue your captured goat brothers. Huh?
How do RPG elements come in if you're a goat? Like, you get, like,
goats. Have you seen
horns?
Goat Simulator MMO?
Wait.
The last time I played Goat Simulator, I got motion sickness.
Okay, because they added an MMO update to Goat
Wait,
Simulator.
do they have VR too?
I don't know, but that is a great.
Oh my god! If there's VR for Goat Simulator, I'll probably throw up.
Yeah, I'd throw up immediately.
Dude, I love it. Dude, can you imagine your tongue's going everywhere while you're going up a ladder and you're getting like motion sick and like everywhere? It's great.
Yeah, dude, I can totally imagine throwing up for 5 hours straight.
Me too.
Actually, what's funny, when I read that, I didn't think of like trolls as like a monster. I was thinking of like internet trolls. Like, what if you're like really insecure and are thrown on an, it's like a battle royale, except it's one person against like 99 internet trolls.
Oh, you know what? I once watched this
Island
documentary for a class. It was like a mockumentary. Is that what it's called? Where it's like a fake documentary
that makes a mockumentary.
So there was one that was it was called Troll Hunter, and it was basically not about the internet trolls, but it was about the what is it? Either Finnish or Norwegian like mythology of trolls.
Mm-hmm.
And it was actually extremely interesting. Like, they're actually like dangerous creatures. That's what I was thinking of. Like, so the mockumentary is about some students that were investigating around because there's like some strange happenings going on some remote forest or whatever, and they meet this guy. I think he claims he's like a troll hunter or whatever. They're investigating this urban myth of trolls, and then he shows them his job, which is basically to eliminate trolls that come too close to human society. And according to him, it's a thankless job, no benefits, things like that. So he's ready to just tell all. It's a government job, but he like doesn't get shit for it. So, and like he shows them around it. Obviously, it's CGI, but they go around and like show like these realistic looking trolls that he has to eliminate with, like, because in troll mythology, for Scandinavian mythology, trolls are eliminated by sunlight. They turn to stone in sunlight. So he has to take these like big UV lamps and like shine on them as they come to the forest, just turn into stone immediately. And so the students are like stunned, but like what they're seeing and decide to document everything. And the end of the mockumentary, they get chased down by government officials. It's like unclear what happened to the students. But I was thinking, like, if it's a survival horror and you're running from trolls, I'd say to go into the more interesting route and like take the inspiration from actual Scandinavian mythology and make them something scary. Because when you hear trolls, like, oh, like it's a children's tale of trolls or whatever. But in the mockumentary, the hunter actually used a goat on a bridge to lure a troll out. So like it's
We'll
like
call this Trolls Till Daylight.
yeah, something like that. But just like people think, troll's so funny, but then like make them like scary.
Yo, it's
You
like
see-
it's no, you're dropped on an island, and for some reason, night will just not end. Like it's an eternal night situation, and the trolls are just out forever. And you're like you have to use like clever use of light in order to scare them away from you and stay alive.
See, if
Right,
it were
yeah.
if it were based on the internet, if you look at this map I have here,
I'm seeing this. Yeah.
yeah, this is the map of the internet from XKCD from years ago, and yeah, we could put that on MMO Isle. See, it's an island. Yeah,
It's right. I see. Wow, there.
yeah.
I wish I could zoom in. Discord.
You can. You have to open it into your web browser though.
Well, that's
Annoying.
Oh, there's Maple Story. What's CDC?
Where?
What is the CDC games? Like
How
next
did-
to the southeast of MMO Isle. It's part
I'm
of
looking.
it's part of the Gulf of Lag.
The Gulf. Oh, COH.
Is that CO? I see CDC. Is that supposed to be an H?
My friend, I believe you need glasses.
I'm looking. I'm zooming in on it, and it's not an H.
Oh, CDC over on the right. My bad.
Yeah.
Sorry. I was looking at COH on the other side of the Gulf.
Oh no. Yeah, CDC.
CDC games.
Close.
Yeah, that's a good question.
What's that small game like that's like kind of dashed there? It doesn't. This isn't the best quality pic. Do you have another picture that's a little bit higher resolution?
CDC Games is literally an operator. This is actually a company. They actually exist.
So what's their hit title there?
They're a Chinese company.
Oh,
They are
EVE
known
Online. Oh, okay.
Yeah, here they are. Today we learned.
Today we learned. Okay, so our RPG troll game is always nighttime, and you have to survive against trolls.
It's
By
true.
using light.
But is it always nighttime, or is the goal to survive till morning?
Ooh, that could be fun. Yeah, like a timed experience. Yeah.
Yeah. The goal is to survive until morning, where all the trolls turn to stone. Then you have to get. Hey, I made Minecraft, everyone. I made Minecraft.
That's
Survive
also
till
the
morning.
theme for Five Nights at Freddy's as well.
That's like the theme of every game that's a horror game.
And
Yeah,
you
Survive till
also
morning.
Five Nights
have
at
a
Freddy's have to
camera.
shine a light, you know.
Yeah, and you also have a camera. Okay.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, way to
the goal is that you have to document the trolls without being eaten by them.
And you're making a
Ah.
mockumentary. There you
Oh,
go.
I remember someone came up with this really funny game idea. It's not a scary game, but it's like a multiplayer game where basically there's one team of people who are photographers in a forest, and the other team are all Bigfoots. And basically,
Oh God.
the goal for the game is that for the camera people to get a shot of the Bigfoots or whatever. And it's just a really hilarious sounding game. Like it's meant to be a funny game.
Okay.
Just get a shot to the cryptids.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to this week's podcast. We'll see you next week. This is Andrew
Lily.
and
Andrew?
Andrew again, signing off.
Yeah, really
Thanks for
confusing.
listening. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Carlo.